Next here, David Samson is the former Miami Marlins president, joins us right now. David, we want to make you a bitter boomer if you'd like to be an added honorary member. But what do you think of this? The president is in Florida right now, and part of what he's been pitching and saying is that the tax cut will resonate with folks, all sorts of folks. What companies are doing is going to be very beneficial, not only obviously to the companies who are going to be awash in that cash, but apparently sharing that cash. Do you agree with that?
He's got no proof of that, actually. And I'm not a bitter millennial. I can't even relate to bitter millennials. But I'm trying to think about whether I should be bitter, and I'm going to wait about 6 to 12 months before deciding on my level of bitterness.
David, it's Charlie Gasparino here. You, because I covered the sale of the Marlins, you have nothing to be bitter with. You just sold your team for $1.5 billion, right?
Yeah, if you're bitter, I'm twiggy. But I don't think you're bitter. But
oh, he corrected me. It's 1.2.
Neil, I own as much of the Marlins as you do, actually.
Oh, okay, all right. I am
very bitter.
I didn't have that cash payout.
David was the president.
David, do you think would it make a difference? I mean, these type of deals that happen all the time, I understand. The president seems to be intimating we're going to see a lot more frenetic activity, not necessarily Marlins type activity, what you did and all that. But this is going to be a very good business environment for deals, for just companies adding and expanding and doing this stuff, benefiting their workers, benefiting future potential workers. Do you agree with that?
I actually don't. I think deals have their own time frame, and it's sort of like there's a continuum on which deals take place, and I think this new tax bill is not going to cause more deals or fewer deals. I don't think you're going to see the type of growth that maybe Donald Trump expected. What I do know is that he needed a victory, and he's calling this a victory for himself, and the problem is it is a victory for maybe just himself.
Well, I think that's a little severe.
Listen, companies, you give companies more money. Generally, they spend it on plant, equipment, and stock buybacks. Probably, I got that in reverse.
And salaries.
And salaries. But I'm telling you, they have a company.
I think you did get it in reverse.
Yeah, reverse.
Yeah.
They do the buybacks first. But, here's the thing, Neil, and I think we should remember this. Corporations have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders and to their workers. They're going to take care of them first, no matter what they're doing here. And I think that's the downside by not doing a decent individual's tax. What he did was make this big corporate tax and kind of didn't do anything on the individual side.
But I think with a wink and a nod, and I could be naive about this, Steve Lee, but I think also there was an understanding among Republicans offering this largesse to companies. Hey, guys, you got to really put the pedal to the metal for us here, because we're putting it all on the line.
Yeah, but they can't do all you'll do is get inflation unless you have productivity growth.
No, you're intellectualizing it. I mean, it might be as simple as what AT&T and some of these others are doing, handing out bonus checks.
Yeah, but that's not going to expand wages and stuff like that. I mean,
it will change the mood of a lot of Americans.
Maybe. If it's just one-time bonuses, Neil, I don't know. And if it's done right in the wake of the tax cut, probably not. But if there's wage hikes,
$1,000 is a lot to people. I know that's a rounding error on one of your lunches.
No, come on, Neil. That's not fair. That's not true. I do think $1,000 is an awful lot of money.
A lot of companies
I think $40 a week is a lot.
It's going to change perception. It's going to change behavior. People are going to be more optimistic. They're going to change their habits.
Well, wait a second. George W. Bush tried a stimulus plan where he handed everybody $1,000, and guess what?
That was
nothing changed.
Nothing changed. No, that didn't change behavior.
And by the way, neither did Barack Obama's $800 stimulus. So I understand that in and of itself alone won't be enough. But, David, do you think, as far as the longevity of this bull market, it'll be 9 years, I think, in next March. This might be a perfect opportunity for people to say, sell on the fact. We've been buying on the rumor and the fact that this was going to come to fruition. Now what? What do you do?
I think there could be a tipping point coming, and I think it's something we were going to talk about with what Vince McMahon's doing. He's trying to take advantage of things going on in the market by maybe diversifying away from the WWE and maybe starting a rival network to the league, to the NFL.
Yeah, but it's the XFL. He wants to bring back the XFL. That's like bringing back, leisure suits. Don't go there, right?
Well, it does not make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That's a great line. Did you just make that up?
I did.
It is a great line.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
David, do you see that going anywhere? I mean, now in this environment, it's classic for what a business titan would think of doing, right? But will we see more of that?
I think it's classic for Vince McMahon to try to sort of recreate what he couldn't do in 2001, take advantage of what he perceives as a downturn in the NFL. But the fact is, people are okay with the NFL. They're tired of all the distractions and all the stuff that we've talked about on this show before. But he better get some good players. He better invest a lot more than $100 million. And he better really pick up his shtick, because $100 million isn't going to get you very far. But it may, Donald Trump is showing people that ego counts and Twitter followers count. And this could be the play for Vince McMahon, actually.
I think Vince McMahon is a smart guy. I mean, he's been around a while. He knows show business, obviously.
Now his wife's in the administration, running a small business administration.
Linda is an acquaintance friend of mine, so just full disclosure. But I will say this: the NFL does have some. I mean, I know just a little too much about this because I've been doing a lot of research on it. Has a lot of problems, a lot of business problems right now. And Vince McMahon is trying to create something that fills a couple niches.
But he's doing this in this environment. Would he even be considering it, Charlie, if it were not this environment?
That's a great question.
No, I don't think he would.
Yeah, he knows. That's what's great about a corporate tax cut.
Well, yeah,
businesses do expand.
Look.
Right.
I mean, if you believe that the business of the country is business, this is a great environment, and I hope it's right.
But not for people who want to live longer. You just said we're dying.
Well, no, I mean, yes, but maybe that'll all reverse. That's the past, and maybe going forward, if the business of this country does turn out to be
you wouldn't have an estate tax to worry about afterwards, right?
I don't have to worry about that, Neil.
Yeah. All right.
You know what the millennials do? They eat udon noodles a lot. Do you notice that?
Yeah, something like that.
Please tell me where you're going.
No, but are they going to live longer if they eat udon noodles?
No, they don't eat enough protein. They don't do anything that's particularly intelligent.
David, you don't share that dismissive view of millennials, right? I mean, that's just verboten for you, right?
Yeah, I think I'm too close to that to share that view, but I say I'm 15 years away from sharing it.
There you go. It was said like a young man. All right, Charlie. In the end, as the president gets ready to have this vacation, I mean, how's the second year going to go? It's probably a crucial year. The midterms, everything else. How's it going to go?
Absolutely. You talked about the 9-year bull market, in March.
Right.
With the tax, the new tax plan and coming into law, that could prompt some selling. As investors reallocate their portfolios, you might even see a correction in the first half of the year.
We haven't seen so much as a 5% adjustment.
We have not.
In a year and a half.
Yeah, we have not. But you could possibly see a correction as people adjust.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, because what the market will do is pull back and say, let's see how this affects corporate earnings.
Earnings are supposed to go up with the tax.
That's great.
They have to go up. They have to go up.
See the market go up.
But have the markets reflected that, guys, already?
No,
probably not this kind of deep cut in corporate.
What do you think of that, David? Have the markets reflected what is the better multiples on this market now, courtesy lower taxes?
I think the people watching this show don't quite believe that, but the people who may not have the extra $1,000 or looking at not diversifying a portfolio because they don't have one, they just don't see any improvements, and they're probably just wondering how it is that the rich will just keep getting richer. So I think it's probably baked in, but I don't know that impacts as many people as you think.
One thing I do wonder
I think that's a very good point.
That is a very good comment.
But the other thing politically is that if Trump can't get a lot of mileage out of the economy doing more than marginally better since he got into office when he lessened the regulations, it makes me think that his base, which watches our shows a lot, they love him. They love every stupid tweet he puts out. But the rest of the world is just
look at this baby. It's like a Lion King moment.
Yeah. But the rest of the world has gone sour on him. That it's hard. People just think they're just exhausted by his BS. And I just wonder if a better economy can get him past that, because the economy's getting better now and it's not working.
Well, it is, Charlie, but what you have to, it has to get better for everybody. The $1,000 is a lot of money.
Right.
And I even think the $40 is a lot of money because people are so beaten down financially.
So maybe
$40 will make a difference.
Underappreciating what effect that could have.
I think short term. Long term, though, we have a lot to worry about.
Okay. I want to thank all of you. David, it was great for you to stop by. We appreciate it. You going to buy any teams now? What are you going to do these days? Just lay low for a while or what?
I think I'm just going to sit here in Florida in flip-flops and a tie and wait for you to call me.